And I think some of the teachings that were left out were the teachings that taught us how to do it. Then that the body was set up to heal itself. Right? I mean, it totally was. If you eat right and if you do certain things right, your body stays healthier than not. And then if you understand energy, which is not something any of us were taught about coming into this, we were taught to give all of our power away to a God outside of us. And it very, very clearly states that heaven is inside you, that God is inside you. And then you have to stop and go, okay, well, what the heck does that even mean? Because if that's inside me, that means the power is inside me. Oh, totally forgotten. And I think it's beyond forgotten. I think it was literally hidden from us. Because if we knew, they would have no control. They would have no control. So beyond even the idea of, we forgot it. I don't think we forgot it. I think it was hidden, right? And programmed. And now you run the program instead of acting in your spirit. If you knew how to walk in your heart and be that spirit portion of you, the brain calms down, the amygdala calms down, all the fight and flight responses calm down and start reverting back to normal. Right? If a cougar chases you through the woods, of course you're going to run and you're going to kick in flight and flight to save yourself, but you no longer have to respond to that just because a person drove down the street and looked at you funny. Well, and I think there's that, and then I think the fear mongering with everything, and even, including 5G, right? Yeah. What if I told you can upgrade your DNA and you don't have to contend with 5G? You don't have to beat it. You just have to upgrade your DNA so it supersedes it.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what we've been doing as a human race for a long time, is we just keep upgrading the system. Well, this is another upgrade that if you don't do, it probably will take you out. It'll take you, take your health away.
Right. So how can learning this help then with health?
Well, so when your heart coherent, your heart produces a 0.1 hertz signal that sends a message back to your brain to produce all kinds of healing chemicals, including, let me see if I can remember how to say this word, telomerase, which is an enzyme that's only produced in your brain, that signals the cells and it signals the DNA to reproduce the telomeres that are on the ends of the DNA strands.
Okay.
Right. And
that
so,
makes, yeah.
And when those dissolve, right, that signals usually the end of life because, you've used up your time basically when your telomeres are gone. So, yeah. And it was something we didn't think you could actually heal or fix. But if you start fixing those, what happens to everything else?
Repair.
Yeah. Repair. Right. It starts altering in response. So if my telomeres are healing, my DNA is altering, and I'm getting all this good new chemical influx into the system that doesn't include cortisol and adrenaline, now what happens? Healing, right? Now all of a sudden my body has to bow in response to this new set of chemicals. And if my body's standing there going, oh, wow, you feel pretty good. Now what happens, right? Now life changes and now I'm pulling good stuff to me instead of, from the negative aspect of I'm in cortisol and adrenaline and I feel like crap, and that's what you focus on because that's what you're in the middle of. Now all of a sudden you're just like, oh. And what this does, what the program that I'm doing does, is give you a really fast entry back into that feeling good. And then we're training the brain to stay there, because if you can stay there and keep yourself in that state, it becomes your new state of being, and then you create your world in response to it.
So how would this be in comparison? Like, I probably do 50 minutes of affirmations a day. I am, kind of into the Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton stuff, and I meditate at least an hour and a half a day to stay in alpha wave. And so, and it's helping a little. What other piece would I be picking up from doing this?
Sitting with your spirit and becoming more than that, becoming your spirit. So what I keep telling people is when you get this and you understand it and you activate it, it'll make everything else you're doing more powerful. because now you're not doing it from your brain or from, rudimentary, I got to just sit down and do this and sit down and do this. Now you're doing it from the standpoint of your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And your spirit is a higher vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes everything, because now I'm not doing it coming from a place of, I'm trying to fix something. I'm doing it because my spirit is joy, and that just feels way better. Right? That's
wow. That would
be
amazing.
Way better to do that than it is to go, oh my gosh, now this hurts and now I got to go fix it.
Yes. And I'm in there all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. All day. Like, got to do the work, got to do the work, got to do the work.
Yeah. And the other part with this is, and I love a good Joe Dispenza meditation, except that it makes me crazy at some point. I just can't sit there that long. And I know a lot of people, this was another reason I kept asking, like, make this enough different and easier that, the need to sit in an hour long or 2 hour meditation with loud music and I don't know, everything that goes along with it.
Yeah.
It totally takes that down, because instead of having to sit down and do that for an hour and a half or whatever at 3 o'clock in the morning and whatever he's prescribing at this point, we're doing it all day long.
Yeah.
Right? If every word out of your mouth was a prayer, if every thought in your mind was a form of meditation, now you might as well be the monk in the cave, but you don't have to sit in the cave because you've trained it into your subconscious and it becomes your way of being instead of something you have to go sit down and go do.
So you are training your your nervous system and your subconscious?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And every cell of your body, right? It's not just one or the other. It's every single cell of your body holds information. And I think it's part of the problem with most protocols right now is they're just leaving parts out. Well, that part holds information. And if you don't alter that part too, you're not in coherence, because now you're in a tug of war. My brain is telling me this because I trained my brain to say I am awesome, but my gut makes me feel like I'm scared to death.
Right.
Right. So you're in this tug of war.
Right.
Yeah. So we have to bring all parts involved. And that's what the angel showed me, was how to bring all those parts involved together and to get them all into the same state of emotion or the same state of feeling.
Wow. That's really beautiful, Christy.
It's fun, actually. I always had a guy from Hawaii, I think it was yesterday morning, actually, he contacted me on an email and he's like, I'm at my wit's end and I don't know what to do. And I think you might be my last hope because I'm really done with all of this. And I'm like, well, just, let's get on a call and let me tell you a little bit about this. But I just walked him through a quick procedure and he's like, what the heck was that?
Really?
That's how your body operates. And he's like, this is unbelievable. And what it literally did, and he's supposed to contact me back today, was stop this voice in the back of his head that was telling him he can't sleep. And his voice was him, because there was a few nights in a row where he couldn't sleep and his nose, crapped up. And what ended up happening was he had taken a fall and caused a bleed in the back of his sinuses, and it filled up with blood. And so after that, he was just like totally in fear about falling asleep. And he's like, if we could just turn the voice off. And I'm like, all right, let's just do this real quick and see what happens. So, but I mean, that's how fast it can work, because it is what your body does, right? When you activate it, it just does what it's supposed to do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what we're doing. That's what it is. And it's 8 weeks. I think it's like a really appropriate time going into 2021.
Yeah.
My goal.
Energy.
Yeah, my goal is to beat the new year.
Nice. So do you do it in group?
Yeah. So the course itself is the one that's starting on November 1st, which is actually Sunday, is a group effort. And just because I think it's really powerful, everything's more powerful when consciousness connects. So it's a group effort. And every Sunday we get on for live coaching and question and answer and whatever. And then every day you go into the platform and get the next day's challenge or homework or whatever you want to call it. And it's just doing doing what's prescribed every day.
So you're guiding us through that.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just watching a video. I'm trying to keep the daily work less than 30 minutes, right? So you watch the video and then you have your assignment and you work on doing whatever it is all day long.
Oh, shit. That's like A Course in Miracles.
Pretty much. I
love that format.
What I've been told. Because if you don't, right, you're not training yourself. Right. You're just going, you sit down and meditate for an hour and then you stand up. And even Joe says that you stand up and you get back to your daily rudimentary life the way it's always been. Yeah. What have you changed? You've changed nothing unless you change something. But he's trying to force it through the pineal and get some kind of high energetic change that causes a whiplash effect kind of thing that, right. And I just think, even the people I know, I've got clients that have done his stuff like 3 or 4 times, his week-long retreats. And they're just like, what the heck? Why don't I ever get the gamma pop? I don't know. It sucks. I guess that's just the nature of the world.
They're all kind of missing the mark. You've gone deeper than most. I
appreciate that. Thank you for that.
I could just feel it when I heard you this morning. It was like, that's what I've been looking for. I want to come home. I want to come home to myself, my spirit, the God within, and I don't even know what that looks like.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you all of a sudden recognize it and feel it, because you are the same energy as God. It's not different. It's the same. We have been so lied to. It's not even funny. We have been so lied to about so many things.
I'm with you there. I tell people I practice undoism as my religion because I'm undoing everything I've ever been taught.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've told you the story before when my brother died and he came back to me and said, don't believe anything you think you know.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he passed away about 2 years ago. He had a supposed suicide. I don't think it was. But I went into his room after he was shot in his bed, and I went into his room and I was standing there. They had cleaned everything up, everything's hazmat happens quick after something like that. And so I'm standing there and all of his stuff is just kind of dumped in a corner, whatever was left. And part of the wall's gone and the bed's gone and the floor's gone. It was craziness. And his salt rock lamp was still sitting across the room. And I was just standing there and I'm like looking into them. I was like, what the fuck did you do? Excuse my language.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I hear the light comes on and then I hear this swoosh kind of noise and then bump, and he's right in front of me. And I'm just staring at him. I'm like, what the heck happened? Like what? And I didn't even question that he was standing there. I'm just talking to him. And he goes, never mind that. He goes, never mind any of this. Everything you think you know is a lie. None of it's right. None of it's true. And I was just like, what? And he goes, he goes, quit believing everything you think you know.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. And I was just like, whoa.
I remember his picture was in your dining room in your Heber house.
Yeah.
And you talked about him. I did not get that part of the story. That's really wild. So he was telling you truth.
Yeah. And he showed me other things since then. He's given me, I don't know, direction and all kinds of interesting things that I'm just like, oh, wow. And I think one of the biggest things is like the lack of having a belief system. Because if you don't have a belief system, your belief system is in your brain. And if we can cut the belief system out, we can turn off that part of your brain that says, I think I know this, I think I know that, I believe it, right? And I don't believe anything. Now I have to live by my spirit, and I have to hear my spirit, and I have to pay attention to my spirit, because that is what drives this boat. Right?
And so then you would have to be in the now.
You have to live in the present moment, right? And you have to be satisfied. Because your spirit doesn't do anything else. And it's not like you have to go do it. You are it. And so that's what you are. And you live that way. All of a sudden, it's just like a whole different, I don't know. It's weird.
It sounds really amazing. So do you feel like you just tap into walking with your spirit?
No, the angel that came to me showed me how. It wasn't a tap into it. It was, here's how you do it.
Wow.
Right. This is a direct approach to it. And then it was, the Gnostic teachings and the Nag Hammadi and some of those things, because Jesus has other teachings that we weren't privy to if you only read the Bible.
Right.
Right. And it's still part of the story. It was just from a different aspect. It was from a different line of sight. Right. So it's the idea of the people standing around the elephant, and depending on what part you were touching or standing next to is what you thought. Right. That's what you thought it was. And religion is the same thing. If Jesus was in Egypt talking and the Egyptians were saying, well, this is what he said and this is what he did, it looks different than the Hebrews talking about it.
Right.
Right. Or the Jews talking about it. And if he was in, I don't know where else, India, when the Indians talk about it, it's different than when the Egyptians talk about it. But it's still the same story. It's still the same person. It's still the same. But they give you more information because they were open to more information, and Rome didn't cut the information off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, how true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's craziness to me. I just sit around sometimes, and I have so many books I want to read at this point that I can't read fast enough, and I can't soak up enough information. So I've just been sitting there saying, okay, if this is relevant, put it in my head. If this is relevant, just give me the information so I can run with it and do something with it. I don't know.
Kind of like get to the point.
Yeah. And fast, because this is changing way too quick, and we don't have a handle on it.
Yeah, and we are changing that fast if we do want to lift out of the cluster of this low vibration quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think one of the coolest things is, like, we are coming into, what they've called a golden age, right? We're coming back into this golden age. And if you're on the crest of the wave, riding the golden wave, right, into this golden age, I think that's where all the power sits. And internal power, not external. I have money, I have this, I have that. I think that's where the internal, I am this spirit. I am, right? I am the point, what they call it, 0 point focused energy.
Yep.
There is nothing else, but you have to recognize yourself as that, and then train yourself to walk in it, to become more of that every time you take a step. So instead of doing a practice, we walk in a cadence. Right? It has to be every step you take, you have to have, like, where's your focus? What are you thinking about? What are you doing? What are you feeling? What are you noticing? Where is your awareness? Is it in your head, or is it in your heart? Or is it outside
I'm holding the line.
Yeah. Or is it outside of you, dwelling on something somebody did to you? Are you worried about the election? Are you, in Russia or in China, dealing with the issues that are there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
That makes absolute sense, to come off the roller coaster and find the still point.
Yeah.
The 0 point, however you describe it.
Yeah. 0 point energy. It is the still point, and it is all of your power. It's interesting, that whole idea of 0 point energy. If you know anything about some of the archangels, Metatron holds a cube.
Yeah.
Right. And that cube is what? Power. It's all of his power. It's all of the energy of the universe is stored inside that cube. Where is that cube? Why did he have it?
Yeah.
You have one. Do you know where it is?
No, I do Metatron meditations in the morning and try to stand on that matrix. But,
you can't stand on it.
Pillars will sit around me and stuff, but I'm not sure what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's inside you. Right? The cube is inside you. The cube is actually part of the representation of the first couple of cells that you popped into in this creation.
Whoa. That's wild.
Isn't it crazy? And you still have...
we could activate that.
Exactly. And then what would happen to healing?
Done. Over.
That's
and if I could stop telling my story, you know, like come off the cadence of I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain.
Yeah. Well, you know, and that's another thing we're taught too, right? On a very high level is tell your story.
Yeah, right.
And therapy, you know, psychiatry is horrible for that. And they want you to tell your story over and over and try and figure it out.
But you can't.
That's a broken record. That'll never work because it just creates more neuroplastic and then you think about it even more.
Yeah, you're wiring to your story.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love your idea about going neutral, just going to neutrality, because you won't be in your story with your neutral.
Nope. You're at peace.
It sounds like a nice way to unplug and align with, well, I guess, first of all, stillness, and then stay open to, you know, what you're shown to do next, or who you're shown to meet, or where you're shown to go, or.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different way to operate when you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I like it.
Okay.
And I've got to find a way out of pain because I've got nerve pain day and night and day, and I'm on the edge of. I try to meditate my way out of it and affirm my way out of it, and go to body talk and take supplements.
Well, so here's what we can do. Because of COVID right now, I'm running sessions at $100 a piece. And so, I mean, I'll throw you my Venmo thing if you want to do this, and I'll run you through the ladder and we'll see if that'll help start taking it apart. And then you'll know how to do it. And the goal will be, okay, you have to keep doing the ladder part of it. So whatever shows up, and I'll walk you through how that works. Super, super simple.
Yeah.
If you can, right, see your spirit as your true self, you won't feel the pain. And this is where your focus becomes involved. And it's part of what we're training through this course. So if you want to do that, just to get you out from underneath some of this before it goes on too much longer, we can do that.
Yeah, I'm game.
Are you game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to do the course itself is $349, and so we're in for a full 8 weeks, and the goal is to train this into the system deep enough that you can just stand up and keep walking. You know how to do it. I mean, that's one of the goals always with me, is that you'll know how to do it. And you can keep moving through it, but you've got to implant it deeply enough into your subconscious that it just becomes part of who you are. The technology of your body turns on and starts working the way it's supposed to work. And you don't have to keep fighting so hard through some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And people will think, let me tell you this too, people will think, oh, this is going to solve all my problems. Life will keep happening. The goal is to stay at least at peace, because then you perceive it differently. I don't have to participate when I'm in peace. Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool.